Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Live Before Lock show with myself and Ben Raz as our host. This one's for the Genesis Invitational, the strongest and best field we've had all year. And it is the last time, I shouldn't say that. We're getting 11 o'clock starts on Thursday mornings. Well, that's if you're on the Eastern Standard Time. However, we're switching to Florida after this week, Ben. So what I was telling to everybody or meaning to is don't get used to it. Don't get used to doing lineups on Thursday morning because this will turn into a true live before lock, as lock will be at about 6 o'clock in the morning after this week. But we won't worry about that until next week as we've got the Genesis out in LA. And before I bring Ben in, I want to thank our new sponsor of the show, Monkey Knife Fight. Our show today is sponsored by them. Their player prop-based contests are easy to play and don't require the time commitment that other DFS sites do in order to be competitive. With Monkey Knife Fight, you are in charge. Whether you want to play NBA, UFC, PGA, esports, or soccer, Monkey Knife Fight has it. To get started, head over to monkeyknifefight.com and choose which game you want to play, your contest type, and your buy-in. And even better, when you sign up with promo code Awesemo, you're going to get an instant first match deposit bonus of up to $50. Sign up today. Ben, it's pretty cool. Player-based props. So, number of birdies that somebody's going to make, stuff like that is on there. Yeah. So certainly something to look at. But we're going to talk a little bit about the Genesis Invitational, of course. And we have got a stacked field. So, Ben, come on in. Tell us how your week is going, how the University of Rhode Island Rams won you some money last night, and so on.
I don't know about that. No, it's Austin P last night. That was a problem.
Ooh, nice.
That's neither here nor there. Listen, I think we both, you said it, Genesis, this is a pseudo major. We've got the best of the best here. It's an invitational, slightly smaller field. It's everything. When I'm thinking of like, what's my ideal DFS week? It's this. We've seen Riviera a million times, no surprises, no different courses. It's great. I'm excited to get into it. We've got the best of the best here and some big time contests across the industry.
We sure do. And the nice thing is last week we dealt with a little bit of weather. We dealt with obviously the different course rotation that ended up having an edge there. We're not going to have to worry about this week. We always start off the show talking about it. And luckily it's going to be perfect weather all week. Mid-60s the first 2 days with little wind, mid-70s the next 2 days, Saturday and Sunday with no wind. So as I would say, pretty ideal conditions for Los Angeles and to play golf.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, and that's what we want. We don't want to be dealing with, I know I don't.
Another variable, yeah.
I don't want to be a weatherman. I don't know what I'm doing. It's not my thing. It's never been my thing. So this is pretty straight up in my book. And listen, that gives us more opportunities to focus on the golfers and less variables, as you said.
Sure do. And withdraw, it's just Mr. Vibin, Daniel Berger himself. Going to take the week off. Going to enjoy his his $1.3 million that he won last week or something similar to that. He'll take that home to Jupiter, Florida and sit on it before he goes over to WGC concession next week. No other withdrawals though, right?
No, I think Ogletree is out.
Andy Ogletree. If you're going to be like me and play him, don't.
Yeah, not much. I will say, I know we're kind of jumping around. I don't want to make too much news. I did see, and you're always on top of things, I'm not saying he's going to withdraw by any stretch, but did you see the Answer situation? Obviously, Texas, it's lawless right now. I don't know if there are golfers stuck there at all. I'm not saying that, but I did see him. I don't know if that was today. He was in the snow, though. It didn't look like he was at the Genesis.
Okay, so I commented, if you guys want to go see the tweet that we are referencing, go under my Twitter handle at DFSGolfer23. Go to my tweets and replies. It was actually at the Fantasy Grind, Jeff Ulrich, our buddy and of course co-host, that picked up on this. Answer sent out a tweet 4 hours ago, I think 5 now, that said, hoping to make my tee time. Preparation for the Genesis is a little different this year. And he's hitting golf balls out of his snow in the backyard. So obviously he's not there. Hopefully he gets there. I don't know. It sounds kind of sketchy to me. You got guys like Carlos Ortiz right there. So I don't know if I'm going to take the risk. But in truth, do you think it's a risk here? I mean, he's definitely not there.
So, yeah, I mean, the problem I have with it is that I don't think this is like big news in the sense that everybody knows about it and it's going to swing ownership and I'm going to hang on. I think no one really knows. So I'm a little kind of interested in almost being like, you know what, let me not mess around with that. But I did like Answer coming into this week. I may try to hedge it with more of an aggressive bet and say, you know what, that's more binary anyway, and not mess around with my lineups. I don't think we know the answer. I would guess that he will find a way to Riviera and be ready to go tomorrow. It's a little freaky. That's not what you want to say.
Yeah, and chat also says from Karl Marx that Fratelli is stuck too. I wonder if Patrick Reed is. I'm going to guess that Reed isn't, but again, I know that Reed is from Houston. I know he was out in the snow. He's not here. Well, we don't have to worry about Reed. That's right. He's one of the guys in the top 10. Don't have to worry about Patrick Reed. Fratelli an answer, maybe a little bit to worry about.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about the waves. We talked about the withdrawals, talked about the possible withdrawals. Now we can talk about the waves, which I don't think there's really going to be a better wave, so to speak, but thought I'd bring it up in the morning if you want to sweat some golf. Patrick Cantlay's teaming up with Colin Morikawa and John Rahm, along with Dustin Johnson, Adam Scott, and Bubba Watson. They're going out in the morning. But before them, that first tee time, Ben, I don't know if you took a look at it. There's a lot of ownership and interest there. There's a Will Zalatoris, Joel Damon, a couple of other chalky guys going right off at 640. So is that a little too early for you to roster these guys?
It's a quick death. I don't mind the Charles for me. I mean, that's my man. Wyndham Clark is someone that I've been playing a lot. I'm certainly going to get them. And, you get those early conditions. You hope it's not too cold or anything like that. But first round leaders and things. And you mentioned, you've got some big time groups. Scott, defending champ. Bubba, the 3-time winner. DJ, I mean, clearly the best player in the world. What more can you ask for? It's going to be loaded. These guys that we're going to be able to watch, this is as good as it gets. Last week was a little weak. This is incredibly strong.
So if you're looking at ownership projections this week on Awesemo, which is of course part of our Awesemo Plus package, starting just at $395 every week if you want to get in on the Express, $895 for the full one for just the golf package. But it would tell you, so I'm giving you a little glimpse, that Cameron Tringale is going to be one of the highest owned golfers in the mid sevens. Reason why I bring that up is because he's also in that first group off of 10. So I want to ask you a question. If you're fading him like I am, when he makes the eagle on 10 to open up the golf tournament, should we just go ahead and close the laptop? Or is he going to do something different than what I'm suggesting?
No, I mean, he probably will. I am coming in underweight. I do think there's an listen, he's playing well. Yes. But there's an opportunity, I always think, when I call it kind of, a step up. This is just a different class of a field. So you have some guys that have been beating up and playing well against lesser competition. I don't know if it translates perfectly. He's a fine player. I just don't want to push north of 15-20% Cam Tringale ownership out there. And I think that's kind of what we're going to get. So if he eagles the first, I will go get a breakfast sandwich, come back a couple hours later and see what has happened here.
Just walk down the street, get yourself a nice New York bagel, and then come back and open the laptop. I think that's pretty good. Mr. Jefferson from the chat, one of the most compared to, I guess, or doppelganger is Corey Matthews from Boy Meets World. I get that a lot. I've got that a lot in the past. I see you referencing Topanga. Yeah, I mean, I'm all in. If we're going to reference Topanga, sure. I will take it as a compliment. Now, moving on, before we go into any more Boy Meets World talk here, the afternoon does have some heavy hitters. Of course, Thomas, Schauffele, Koepka, Champ, McIlroy, DeChambeau. Interested in stacking any of those together? For me, I forgot to bring up Cantlay Morikawa in that first group. I want to give myself all the torture. I'll have a lot of Cantlay Morikawa lineups this week.
I want to just press on that a little bit, because you are, if there's two of us, I think, chat, by now you know that I don't know a putter from a 3-iron. What the hell is a saw? So Morikawa has changed the putter. Obviously, he's been struggling early in the year.
Yeah.
Can it only help him? I mean, how much worse could he be?
Yeah, 190th, right, coming into the week strokes gained putting, and he's gone through 3 different putters. He started with the blade style, which I'll say to you, if you watch Jordan Spieth putt, that's what Spieth uses. He's tried this like half mallet, which is kind of like the spider that a lot of guys like Rahm, DJ, they use. Not full spider. It was kind of like a half mallet, ugly thing. Nothing seemed to be working, so he calls up Mark O'Mara, and Mark O'Mara says, hey, try this putting grip out, and now Colin's going to run with it. For me, if he's going to hit it 4 or 5 feet every single hole, which we know he could or couldn't do, obviously, he'll make a couple of them. He'll make the same amount probably he would before using a different grip. For me, I don't care about putting grip. I putt cross-handed. I putt regular on every different putt. It does not matter as long as the ball goes in the hole. So I don't think it'll hurt him. Let's put it that way. If people are going to fade him, and bring him down to 4% ownership, 5% ownership this week, I'll gobble all of that up. That's fine with me. A little putter grip change is certainly not going to affect his iron play. That's for sure. Now, on that back end, though, Cameron Champ, 6,900. Does he start to become interesting to you yet?
He does, because, it's not to say that, oh, he's in a great spot, he's safe. None of that applies. He's missed 3 straight cuts, but the putter's been ice cold. He's lost 2.5 or more in all 3. And Cameron Champ does one thing at a world-class level. Most guys in the 6s, they don't do anything at a world-class level. They're just whatever. But Cameron Champ, as we all know, is one of the best drivers in the world. Now, that group is going to be insane. But just looking at that, I do think there's something to it with playing with Bryson, playing with Rory. I think he can work out of trouble at this course. He needs to flip the putter a little bit, but you know what? I'd rather play him than someone who's just kind of subpar at best in all 4 categories.
Now, if you're an MME player, I want to draw your attention to our free content of the day. Check out our pro plays. And what that gives you is shows you how exactly all of the experts or pros behind the glass here are going to play their MMEs this week. So what we do is we basically run out 150 lineups. We copy out all of our ownership allocations that we do, and we put it into this slot for you so you can see how much Ches Reavie I'm going to be playing, how much Ches Reavie Ben's going to be playing, how much Ches Reavie Alex is going to be playing, how much Jason Day Alex is going to be playing. Jason Day's not here, luckily, so Alex won't have to deal with that this week. But maybe Ricky Fowler can see if any of our guys are going to be playing him this week, so check it out. Now, as we move down our list, we're going to go to the top end fade. There are a lot of chalk this week, as expected. Dustin Johnson, Xander Schauffele, maybe a little Joaquin Niemann, Scotty Scheffler. So of all those guys, are you fading any? And when I say fade, I think it's important. I bring this up in my top 5 PGA DFS fade video. Doesn't mean we're going to have 0 of them, right? It just means we're underweight. So Xander Schauffele, 30% owned this week. I think I'm allocated about 15 to 18. So that means I'm fading him based off of the ownership projection. Is that what you're going to do this week as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I have this and listen, it's definitely warranted. I've been labeled a Xander hater because I never play him. And that honestly is true to an extent. I do play him a little. I just never get over the field because he's perpetually, if not the most popular golfer, one of them. And it looks like it's going to be the case this week. So he's great. I would rather pay $500 for Rahm, $600 for Rory, $800 for JT, or $1,400 for DJ. That makes it hard to get over 30%. So I'm with you. He's fantastic. But to me, I'll take a discount in ownership and pay a little more money for better players.
Believe it or not, I think that in terms of a allocation based off of ownership percentage, I think I actually have less of DJ than I do of Xander this week. I think it's a product of 11,300. Again, he's the best player in the world, undoubtedly, but is he $600 more than Justin Thomas this week at double, maybe triple the ownership? In my opinion, he's not. So I am underweight on both DJ and Xander. That's not atypical of me to take the highest owned guys of the slate and go the other way, especially if we have so many different options. I think last week was an example of didn't have that many different options. I'll play Patrick Cantlay at 30% owned. Now, how about this week? You know I'm going to play Cantlay, but are you going to play Cantlay at 30% owned?
No, it's similar to Xander, where I don't mind Patrick Cantlay. I actually prefer him over Xander if I had to pick. Fantastic last week. He did everything that you want except win. After Thursday, it feels like a disappointment, but all in all, he was right there. Just couldn't really make anything on Sunday. I watched his round there, but looking at it, I think he's fine, but you brought it up, and I don't even like Morikawa that much. You're talking about significant discount in the ownership. So depending on the build type, I'm going to probably look to some of these other guys, and that includes DJ in certain situations. I'm definitely going to play him, but maybe in single entry and things like that, where I think he could push 40%, I will look to other combinations because I don't think there's that big a distance between him and everybody else.
Agreed. You just brought something up I wanted to touch on because I harped on it this week in my article, my Winning Element article that I put out, how I'm playing everybody as well. Justin Thomas is projected around 10 to 12% in MME formats. Mm-hmm. In single entry stuff, you just mentioned DJ could get up to 40, Xander could get up to 40, Cantlay could get up to 40. I think Justin Thomas comes in under 10% owned, say, in the $200 driver this week. I'm going to use that. He's going to start my lineup there because I know that that's what ends up happening in ownership distribution. And Justin Thomas under 10% owned, he can go out and win just as easy as Dustin Johnson can this week.
No doubt about. I mean, I'm on the same page. You've got JT, you've got Rom and Rory, who, yeah, they're not at the peak of their powers, but they're still playing very consistent, good golf. Bryson's the wild card. I'll gladly do that. Listen, it's the same story. If anyone, including Xander, brings their A game, they'll probably be hoisting a trophy, but it's not a given that it's going to be him and not these other guys. And when it's these other guys, when it's JT, you're only competing with 10% of people instead of 40% of people.
So I think it's important to make note here. Let's just say, Ben, that you do 4 big dollar lineups this week.
Okay.
Does Xander get in one of those?
Probably not. No.
Slides out. Okay. For me, he does. Just want to bring that up. I think for me at 9,900, I think he's on lineup 3 or 4. I think he serves as a prudent purpose. I think his off the tee game is much better than it has been in years past, which should translate into better success here. So certainly playing more Xander than I have any other week, but still coming in under the 30% projected. I can't.
Same with me, to be honest. I probably push into the teens with him. And for me, that's actually a step up. We say this every week, I'm not going to play 30% Xander. I probably wouldn't play 30% of a lot of these guys when the others are in the field at significant discounts. It's a product of the field. You brought that up last week. DJ withdrew. Cantlay was by far the best player. That's a totally different situation.
So with somebody like Victor Hovland coming in at 8,700 this week, right? He hasn't finished outside of the top 15 since his missed cut a while ago. Looks like his ownership's only being projected at 20%. So is this a situation where you're like, you know what? I'm going to put him in 50% of my lineups because his salary is perfect for a first guy in there. Allows you to go up and down. And he's playing so consistent in pretty much every facet of his game, including the short game, which was horrendous last year. It's much better this year.
Yeah, he's made real strides on the greens. And even around the green, it's not great, but it's serviceable. So another guy, world-class driver, world-class tee to green, everything that you want, gets a price dip. I think there's a real argument that he could be with Morikawa and those guys, and he's not. Fits a lot of different lineups. I have no problem with Hovland, another guy that's going to garner some ownership, but that's okay. Again, if you like some of these popular plays, there's absolutely nothing wrong with playing them. You just can't play them all together.
Exactly. Any more fades up here? Neiman's kind of coming in, higher owned. Scotty Scheffler. I think that one of the most interesting topics and debates this week for me is Scotty Scheffler versus Will Zalatoris. I think that by now we've probably seen a good enough sample of Zalatoris to say he's on par with Scheffler in terms of overall value, in terms of overall prospects. Would you agree with that, or do you think Scheffler's got the leg up, which is why we have the higher salary and higher ownership?
No, I mean, I think it's pretty small samples for both in the long term, but they certainly can make a case that they belong in that same category. Scheffler, I really liked him at Waste Management, responded, also got a great putt. It's a lot easier when you gain 5 strokes putting.
A lot easier.
So yeah, if he does that again, definitely in play. Will Z wasn't great last week at Pebble, but that happens. I mean, he still found a cut. I think this is a better course for him as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's a really better setup. So we get a $1,600 price drop and about a 15% ownership drop. I think it's a great opportunity to buy. So he is my leveraged value in this spot. You've got a couple of other opportunities, though. Bubba Watson, we've already talked about a little bit. Mark Leishman, Cameron Smith, a pair of Aussies. So those 3 guys, are you going to try and get any leverage on any of the 3, or are you looking elsewhere in this range?
Yeah, it's a weird range. This is where it gets a little tricky for me. I do think that Leishman actually does fit here. He can work in and out of trouble. Been playing good. Obviously, he's healthy or he's found the game. He was great at 4th at Sony, 18th at Farmers. We haven't seen him since. I don't think I'm going to get to Cam Smith. I just don't love. He was playing so well at the end of last year, but the hard restart I don't think is great. Other than that, I mean, what are you doing with Bubba? I prefer Adam Scott in that same range, defending champ. I know Bubba's won here 3 times. He loves this course. I never know what to do with Bubba. He's one of the hardest players to get right.
He really is. It hasn't been great recently for Bubba either. Last year, he played really good at the Waste Management, if I'm not mistaken. And this year, he wasn't really – he played okay, I guess. I mean, he ended up gaining 1.06 strokes on the field for the week. I don't think it's a bad spot. I think I'm going to end up probably somewhere around the average 10%. Maybe he slides in on one of those back end bigger lineups, but I don't know. I think for me, I'd rather just go up to somebody like Morikawa, Spieth, Cantlay than play Watson. And I think the salaries are at least close enough where if it drops me from, say, 7,500 in Cam Tringale and Davis down to Ches Reavie or Doug Gim, I think I'm getting comparable talent. So I'm okay with paying up off of Bubba Watson to go get a Morikawa or a Spieth at this point.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, this range, again, that speaks to the depth of this field. Like, these are really, really good players, and they're going to be your second, even your third man in balance builds. So you've got Decky there, you've got Scott, Bubba, all of these guys. For me, I wouldn't blink an eye if they land in the lineups. Even Finau, he's just kind of sitting there, churning out consistent finishes. Obviously, he never wins, but you don't need him to win, and it's not like he can't win. It's just seemingly like he can't win. But that lower 9K range is loaded with talent.
So Berger was projected about 10 to 13%. And for me, it looks like, because he's sandwiched in between Morikawa, Finau, and Spieth, it looked like all of that ownership went to Tony Finau. No interest in going to Morikawa and Spieth for the field. Maybe a slip it to Hideki Matsuyama, but looks like Matsuyama is going to come in under 10%. So see a leverage spot for you? I know he's one of your guys, but I don't know if his game is good enough for you to throw him 2X at 9,100 in this.
I need new guys. I got to join Heffa and the chat here and just become Xander guys, because Decky is not playing well. I love this course for him. I think this is an ideal setup. I've always loved him at Genesis. He can work out of trouble, a timely scrambler, great with long irons. It's just very inconsistent right now. At Waste Management, gained 1.6 tee to green. At Farmers, he lost 1.8 tee to green. Then at Sony, he gained 9.8 tee to green. Like, that's great. Negative with the putter in all three. It's a little hit or miss. I'm going to play him. Not sure he's going to be in that mega core, though, just because I can't really trust it. So he's leverage, but he is very risky.
Yeah, I just can't get there. Like you said, I don't see the upside that I'm seeing with Cantlay, Spieth, maybe even Morikawa, but Morikawa's kind of in a similar boat as Matsuyama. However, I think that Morikawa is probably a better player long-term. I don't know. Maybe I'm dead wrong when I say that, but we've already got a major on the Morikawa camp and still searching for that one for Hideki. So, okay. Any other guys you want to talk about in this 8 to 9K range? Max Homa is there. Matt Wolff, Jason Kokrak are on the bottom of this. Do any of those three guys interest you? Homa's about 8% owned. Wolff maybe a little bit lower. We know Wolff had an injury, but he looked okay at the Waste Management a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. I think Wolff is just he is what he is, in the sense that when he gets going, he's extreme upside, but I think his miscut equity is higher than most, even in this range. When he loses it, he tends to really lose it. I'm going to continue to play Max Homa. I've been playing him. I predicted him to win last week. He did not win, but he did play well. Gained across the board at Pebble. California guy. No reason for me to stop right now. He's been fantastic with the irons, made 4 straight cuts. All systems go for Max Homa.
Yeah, I think maybe the only system that wouldn't be a go would be 8,200 salary. But then when you see somebody like Jordan Spieth, who, for all intents, Homa's probably playing similarly to Spieth, would you say? And you get $1,000 discount. So definitely like a little bit of Homa myself this week. Not exactly sure where I'm going to slide him in, but like him. Wolff, absolute GPP targeted 8,100. I won't never have none of him at that price in this field. He shows up when the lights are on, and certainly in LA this week, the lights are on. Jason Kokrak, 8,000, probably a little overpriced, but we don't have to worry about fading him because he's going to be like 5% owned this week, Ben. Does that mean we're going to play him? I mean, he's at least an option this week.
Yeah, I mean, this speaks to the importance. I mean, I talk about a noted. You want to say I don't like Xander. Kokrak is in another stratosphere. I could not stand the run that he had. I thought it was ridiculous. Really playing above his means in my mind. But this is kind of interesting. He's fits Genesis. I think this is a good course for him. No one's really on him. And he's just sandwiched between Answer and Wolff, players that I much prefer, but I think the field much prefers. Given the situation, and again, I'm not trying to overreact, I think I may take some of what I was going to do with Answer and move it to Kokrak, just because of the uncertainty right now.
I mean, listen, we know that a golfer can show up and without any preparation to win a golf tournament is
Yeah.
definitely possible. I've heard a story about Ricky Barnes that this guy showed up to the New England Amateur when he was an amateur way back when, totally hungover, drunk, had never played the course and won by 6. Right? I mean, that stuff happens. So Answer could get there tomorrow morning and play fine. But he could also not even show up, and then you've got a dead flat 0 sitting on the board. I don't see him getting inside the top 10 this week, so I don't think I need to play him regardless of whether he's going to be there or not, which then goes to me and says, yeah, I think I'm going to have a little bit more coke rack because of that. Now, let's go ahead and move on to our Make the Cut segment, which is just another way for us to talk about some of these other guys. But before we do, I want to let you know that we are almost at 30,000 followers on our Twitter, and we need your help to get there. When we do get there, we'll be giving away 30 weekly passes for our Awesemo Plus subscription. So head on over to our @Awesemo_com Twitter handle right now and give us a follow and to stay up to date on all the latest Awesemo content. And of course, some other fun tidbits. Our social team puts out some pretty good viral stuff from now and again. So keep a lookout on that. And of course, when we hit 30,000, you're going to get a chance to win a bunch of free stuff. So, all right, let's go on to Make the Cut here. Jason Kokrak was the first name I had written down. Sounds like we all think he's in a good spot. But how about Kevin Na? Also, same price as Abraham Answer, or in that price range. Has pretty good course history. The guy just wins every now and again. I don't think this is the week he does it, but I do think he makes the weekend.
It's a weird thing. Everyone, including me, has said, is bomber heavy. You can be aggressive. And then you look at Kevin Na, just does his thing here. There are other ways to get it done, and he's obviously found that. I will say, though, you got to look at how he did it. Came in second, gained 5.6 with the putter, 5.8 around the green in the same event. He came in fourth in 2017. He gained 7.8 with the putter. That is too many strokes for me. So I get it. I'm just not going to really chase that, though.
I think it's understandable. If he was 7,200, 7,100, I think it's a little bit more viable. But again, I'll have a little bit of Kevin now this week, not a lot. Russell Henley, he's kind of gone through a little bit of a spot of regression. He was playing super well. I mean, he had that T11 at the Sony. Before that, I mean, the T4 through Sherwood, which is here in California as well, the T3 at Shadow Creek. Bounce back with a T30 at the Waste Management. Is that enough for you to pay $7,800 for him this week?
Henley's an interesting one because he gains with the irons basically automatically, and that always keeps him in the conversation. I tend to prefer him for the Florida swing, which is coming up. So maybe when we get back on Bermuda, a little more in the conversation, not a priority. I do think he makes the weekend. Listen, I'm going to say that a lot, though. 120 guys, easier cut to make. If you're a good golfer, you should make the weekend here.
Agreed. One guy I don't think is going to make the weekend, but that's just because I don't think he's as good of a golfer maybe as other people do. Whatever it is, what it is. And Matthew Fitzpatrick. Listen, I've used him in plenty of big spots, so it's not like I think he's awful. But I don't know. I don't think this is the right course for him. Brendan Todd kind of falls into this category as well. I'll bring them both up. They're both short hitters, both are pepper fairways. I don't think this is the track for him based on the winners that we've seen here in the past. I'm going to say both of them are packing home this weekend.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, Fitzy, it's tough for me. He played over in the Mid-East swing. He was fine. Missed the cut, then came in 17th. I do like the fact that he knows what he's doing in the sense that, like Molinari, he's going to gain off the tee without being long. He just does his thing. He can handle the long irons, makes a lot of putts. I'm not overly high on him. I will say I like him more than Tringale, though. If you're going to make me pick between the two, it would be them. You've got Sergio right there. Interesting.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sergio and Carlos are kind of the two chalkier guys in this range. They both set up pretty well, though.
Carlos Ortiz is an anomaly. I don't know what to do with him. He gained 7.5 strokes putting at Waste Management. That's disturbing. I think I'm going to let other people maybe chase that putting and go to Sergio and certain driver-heavy lineups, but I'm going to try to be careful there because it's a dangerous game. And then Fitzy in putter around the green heavy lineups.
Okay, so I got two things. One, thank you, Groomertown, for our super chat. We very much appreciate it. Second, Matt wanted us to go over the pro plays really quickly. So again, the pro plays page, what it does is it takes a build, a 150 lineup build from all of us, Alex, me, Ben, Jeff, Steve, all of us. What we do is we just copy how that comes out, how that spits out. We put it under pro plays so that you can see, okay, Jason's higher on Jordan Spieth, obvious, and Ben is higher on Ches Reavie than Ben is. So that's what this page will tell you, Matt, and it's a pretty good indication of where we're leaning for our lineups this week. It's not obviously going to show you exact lineups, but it will show you pretty as close as we can get to it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I'm just to clarify, and you definitely should check that out. I will be running mine right after this show, so it will update. But yeah, it's just another tool that we have. We have so many behind the paywall. It's one to take a look at. As Jason said, is it the end all be all? Of course not. But you use that, you lean on some ownership, you look at some projections, the articles, then you kind of get a sense of kind of how we're constructing, and maybe we don't lead you astray. That's always the goal here, is to try to uncover a couple things that maybe make that difference.
So back to Carlos Ortiz for a second. Hasn't missed a cut here at Genesis, which is I found kind of interesting, and is coming in off good form. Are you scared by the 10% ownership? I mean, I know you said he's an anomaly, so it sounds like maybe you're taking the fade option here.
I am taking the fade option, and I just, again, it's not, it doesn't mean that he can't repeat it. It doesn't mean that he's not playing well, but when I see a guy really leaning on the putter who is notoriously not a great putter, I tend to say, you know what, maybe other people aren't checking as closely and they're just going to blindly back him off the results. I do think a friend of the show, Spaz, just said, Abe just posted on Insta he got a flight, so I think Answer probably good to go. Now you know he's not going to show up. That would just be the double coffin, but looks like Answer back in business.
Yeah, it looks like at least he's getting on a flight and we'll be there tomorrow morning. His tee time is, let's see, sorry.
Is he in the morning?
No, 11:10. So he's one of the first in the afternoon. So luckily for him, he does have some extra time to get there. So he's played here a couple of years, so it's not like he's going in totally blind. Let's definitely bring that up. I'll have some. Probably won't even get to the field though, if you want me to be honest on that front. Okay, let's keep moving down the list here. We have to contractually obligated to talk about Ricky Fowler. He's here because he needs to qualify for the Masters. Ben, the Masters, he's not qualified, not going to play this year unless we get a couple of good starts in the next few weeks. So if he gets a special bid into concession next week, maybe that helps him. But is this going to be a course that Ricky figures it out? I think it's an easy answer, but it looks like nobody wants to own him now. So, I mean, in your MMEs, are you playing him?
I mean, first time in years I can say this. I will have Ricky in the pool, but I'm talking 5%, nothing high dollar. It's just not worth it to chase. If Ricky comes out this week and finds it, there's no reason to think that's going to happen. I've held on far too long, and maybe he finds form eventually. It's not now. This course, there's no reason he should find form here. This is going to highlight all his struggles, not give him a break.
You know, what's interesting too is if you try and chase, you can get caught for years. And I am the absolute perfect
Decky and
picturesque. Look it up in a dictionary. You're going to find a guy that played a guy too long. Now, granted, I might have, if I had held on the last 2 weeks, which obviously I did, I got some of that money back in the last couple of weeks, but not enough to make up for the last couple of years. So totally agree. It's tough to hang on. Even at 7,500, I would stay away until we see a solid week, a top 15, something that'll get us back in. So a little above him, Francesco Molinari. He had a very interesting shot last week, topped it off the tee. In his third round, looked a little disinterested after that. I got to be honest. Saturday and Sunday, he looked like, I'm just going to get a paycheck and get the heck out of here. Now he comes down to LA where he lives now. Maybe this course is a little better setup. We got a $1,700 price drop. So I guess I'm interested in Molinari, but I will say I was a little nervous seeing how disinterested he was on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, that was a tee shot that actually, I can say this first time ever on the show, that looks like me when I golf. I've never said that about a pro, but that was bad. I don't know why he's so bad at this course. I don't think it's that bad of a fit, but course history, miscut, 52nd miscut, and 40th. That's not the best from Molinari. Do think he can kind of do what Fitzy does here, but at the same time, I am a little hesitant to go there. I would rather play Fitzpatrick.
I think it makes sense. Again, I'm just gonna, for the most part, skip this entire range, except for Sergio Garcia. I'll have a little of him and a little Carlos Ortiz. How about a 1% owned Gary Woodland. If I had told you that Gary Woodland and Cam Tringale were going to be the same price, yet separated by 10 to 15% ownership, and it would be in Cam Tringale's favor, you'd have told me I'm absolutely nuts. You would have asked whatever I'm smoking to pass it over to you. But here we are.
What a world.
What a world. Now, Gary Woodland in play because of that?
Yes, definitely for me. His form, it was interesting. He started 2021 and everyone was really excited to see because he had played through injury late in 2020 and clearly he wasn't right. 16th at Amex, and it seemed like, wow, this is a great buy low spot. Follows it up with a 48th at Farmers and a miscut at Waste Management. Is it more injury or is just the form a little rusty? I don't know the answer to that. I will tentatively hold on a bit and just see what I get. Nothing crazy, but I think Woodland can make this cut.
I think maybe it was just that he was injured and came back and played, 3-4 weeks in a row there. And maybe it was just a little too much, Ben. And I think that now with the rest last week, we got a little chance to recover, plus the extra couple of days from the miscut. So, yeah, I'm fine jumping back in here. I'd rather play him than Cam Tringale at those ownership levels. Same with Matt Fitzpatrick. So how about former winner James Hahn? Former winner, I think he won the Genesis. Maybe he won last week.
He won Wells Fargo. He's done some things.
But his best chance, obviously, Waste Management. He won, didn't win. Had a chance to win, totally blew it. Gave it to Kepka. Now is he back in play this week? For me, I'm out. I think we saw a little bit of the James Hahn run end on that back nine.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. He's a very difficult player because his stats flip wildly. Just to give you an example, basically everything he did at Waste Management, he flipped. He lost off the tee at Waste Management, gained at Pebble. He gained 4 with the irons at Waste Management, then he lost 3 at Pebble. He gained around the green, then he lost at Pebble. So it's just no rhyme or reason for what he does. I'm not going to chase that. There's too many other guys in this range.
How about Lanto Griffin? Josh from our chat just mentioned he happened to be the next guy on the list. So either Josh is looking at our notes or he got pretty lucky there.
Lanto, I had a couple weeks reprieve. Yeah, we haven't seen him since Farmers. It's gaining with the approach. I'm gonna pass this back to you. I really don't have a ton to say. I think the price is reasonable. I'd rather play List. I'd rather play Connors, but I get it if you want to go to Lanta.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull up. I should have pulled this up before. I apologize. I just want to check his course history here because
I think he's only played once.
Yeah, he came 37th last year, made the cut. Seems like actually probably what I would, if I had to say, what do you think Lanto Griffin is going to come in this year? I would say 40th. I think it's a pretty decent spot for him. I'm okay if someone wants to throw him in a cash game lineup, something like that. I don't know. I feel like the best starts that we've gotten out of Lanto Griffin have been in a 2 or 3 week stretch where he's played well one week, carries it over, and really gives you value. And I think that was earlier this year. I think maybe we're in a spot where he's just going to middle for a little bit. So I'm not going to play Lanto Griffin this week outside of, 1 or 2 lineups in cash. Though I do think he makes the weekend if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, he's pretty safe. I'll give you that.
How about Cam Davis? Another guy that's kind of turned into a safe thing, but has GPP upside. Kind of like him a lot, even though he is going to be higher owned.
So Cam Davis to me is a tricky one. You can speak to both sides of this. I think there is a chance that Cam Davis turns out to be really good, much better than anyone thought, especially last year. Maybe he was just a late bloomer and now he's found it. He's really playing well. He's also playing well against fields that aren't this. So we haven't really seen him in a ton of situations like this. I'm interested to see how he responds. I'll probably come in close to the field because I do think this is a major step up, but I don't want to completely ignore a guy that I do think there's some big upside there. There's a chance that he is really good.
Totally agree. At 7,500, I think it's a good spot to go in to him. I think it's a decent field. Decent course for him. So yeah, I'm in the Cam Davis train this week.
Right. There's a chance. I'm just saying, I don't think it's unreasonable that he elevates himself to the Scheffler range with a huge year. Like,
I think it's a great call.
Is it likely? No. Is it possible? Definitely yes.
Listen, when this guy was coming out from the amateur ranks, he had everything that Scheffler and all these other top guys have. So again, it took him a little while. He didn't have to go through as much Corn Ferry Tour, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe he did do a full season down there, but I thought somehow he got it before or came in late in the season, got through the Corn Ferry finals. In any case, we know the talent is there at 7,500. I'm definitely in. Brian Harman and Sam Burns are also right there. I think Burns, Davis, Scheffler, I think they're all pretty comparable. So does that mean 7,400 Sam Burns is in play for you this week?
It does. Prefer him obviously on Bermuda. So even if he plays bad here, you'll probably hear me say this during the Florida swing a lot, LSU guy, but I have no problem with him. He gains tee to green pretty consistently. And again, beating a dead horse, he could be much better than the price indicates long-term. Whereas Kevin Streelman, Brian Harman, they kind of are what they are. They're maybe a little more reliable, no problem, but I'd rather up the variance and take a risk with the younger guy.
Burns, Davis for me over Streelman and Harman. Totally agree. Oh man, this next guy on my list, there's nobody more frustrating right now than Charlie Hoffman. The guy withdraws coming in top 20. Then all of a sudden on Sunday throws out a 65 to come in the T6 at a course that one would think is a pretty good fit for him, but I just can't play him because I don't know when the guy's going to withdraw. He could be leading the freaking tournament in withdraw. So for me, I'm out. Does he make the weekend? It does seem like he's playing better. Even when he withdraws, it seems like he's playing good.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that I felt like I've played him every week and all I've gotten is withdraws. I don't know where he sneaks in these good performances because I'm not getting paid off. I'd rather play List at the same price. I think even though he can't putt, his tee to green game is much better. And Charlie Hoffman, although he has these spurts, there's a lot in there that's not good. He flashes, but it's really not consistent.
So Maverick McNeely lived on the 15th hole for quite some time at Pebble and turned that into a second place finish, his best on the PGA Tour. Does he go in, hang out? Obviously, he doesn't care about the money. We know that. It's never about the money for Maverick McNeely, as his dad's worth multi-billions and billions and tens of billions of dollars. So it doesn't matter about that. Maybe he wants to go hang out with Danielle, or is he in play this week?
Yeah, I mean, props to Maverick, props to you. You liked him a lot more than I did last week. I couldn't get over the irons. And this just shows, just like Wyndham Clark, Maverick gained 0.7 with the irons last week. That's nothing. Yet he came in second because he does it differently. He gained off the tee, gained around the green a ton. I'm going to probably cool a Jets though and not go crazy. I do think that was more of an outlier than a trend.
I would throw him. I think it's a great comparison to Wyndham Clark. I think they are almost identical terms instead of skill set. If you look at their strokes gain numbers, that would exactly tell us that. I'll take Clark at $200 cheaper this week. I think, he took last week off, maybe for a little bit of rest, maybe didn't want to play in 50-degree weather, whatever it was. I like Clark on more rest this week than McNeely. How about a guy, though, JT Poston, that you play, I'm going to say a decent amount. You've talked about him the last couple of weeks. We talked about him one week. He missed the cut. Then he bounced back with a T15 and a couple of eagles the next week. That's just how it goes for us. So Poston, 7,300, price a little too much for me. I'd rather play Reavie.
Yeah, it's a little much. I will have him in the pool just because I think the way he plays is attractive in the sense that he's got the Fratelli. Like, he gains with the irons, then he gains with off the tee, then he's a great putter pretty consistently, actually. A lot going on there. If you ever link them up, it's a big time result. We saw him win at Wyndham. He's got that type of upside. I don't love the course, but he seems to like it in his couple of appearances. Not a priority, though. I'd probably bump to Wyndham Clark or even Kyle Stanley.
I think I'm probably in the same boat there. As we move down, Brendan Steele, decent week last week, not bad. Nate Lashley, oh man, oof. I was talking to our buddy behind the glass here, Mr. Joyce, same first name, and he had a nice ticket on him, but didn't have the top 5 or the top 10. So that 4-putt absolutely crushed him. I'm sorry for that. Totally understand. Do you think that it carries over to this week? I do. I don't think Lashley's going to be showing up here this week. I think he'll be on the first flight home.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to, the time to play Nate Lashley was last week. So I'm not going to chase that. I think he left the best of his game on the green that he destroyed. So not going to go there.
Yeah, I don't think so either. People are loving the Mr. Postman song. It's in a Captain Marvel movie. If you want a little Disney Marvel tidbit for you there, right at the end of that movie, Samuel L. Jackson talks about
Captain
the Postman.
Marvel.
So, anyways, yeah, it's Samuel L. Jackson. He starts singing about it, and in any case, Siwoo Kim, I just got asked about. I think interesting play. I think we got the win from him. Probably the best return we're going to see from him in a while. I'm out for now. I think that the game has probably reached its peak.
Yeah,
I mean, just for right now. I don't mean in general in life, but I think for right now, I'm fine with fading Siwoo Kim.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. He's also, I couldn't even find him because I was expecting him to be in the same price range of the guys we just rattled off. He's actually up there with Sergio, Henley, Ortiz, Answer. To me, not that he doesn't belong there, but in this situation, I would rather go elsewhere.
One of the two stupidest penalties called last week on almost the exact same scenario. Maverick McNeely was one of them. McNeely dropped the ball in the rough. It was kind of sitting up on the rough. He put his club behind it. The ball moved out of the pocket that it was in and fell kind of like buried a little bit in the rough. Got called a penalty on it. Russell Knox, on the other hand, first hole, middle of the fairway. The ball's sitting up on a blade of grass. It falls off of that blade of grass as he's addressing the ball. Again, assessed a stroke penalty. Two of the stupidest penalties I've ever seen. I would never call those on my playing partners if I was playing a match play. I would never call it on my playing partner in a stroke play. I just wouldn't do it. I think that rule should be removed from the game of golf, in my opinion. However, it happened. Knox was able to bounce back a little bit. So does that give you inclination to play him this week, or do you think it was a great setup for him last week and time to fade him?
Yeah, first of all, Knox, I found out that he got assessed a penalty as he missed a 2-footer for a streak.
For the streak, right.
Yeah. Awful. Okay. I think I'm going to cash in those chips. I think Pebble is a much better setup than him. This course just a little too difficult off the tee. I'm not going to chase that. I was on Knox pretty heavily last week, not there this week.
Yeah, like you, my friend. One of, as you probably were aware, I ran 150 Spieth Cantlay lines.
I saw those.
Going into Sunday, I had Spieth, Cantlay, and Knox on my top line. That was in second place. So when Knox had that 2-footer for the streak on 4, I'm like, oh man, here we go. Then he gets assessed the penalty, then misses the putt.
Oh yeah,
no, I knew it was over then. I knew Berger was going to win.
Well.
Yeah,
well,
just how it goes. Okay, let's move along here. So of course. We've got about 10, maybe 15 minutes at the very most left in the show, but I'm going to tell you about Spags and E-Money coming up after this. No, G-Money. Sorry,
G-Money. There's too many
G-Money
around here. Yeah, Greg Ehrenberg and Spags.
Yeah, Spags and Greg are on the waves for the NBA Late Slate Show, so stay tuned for that. That has been some great content. I've been checking in with the guys every night, playing a couple of lineups myself, and listen, I'm not an NBA guy, so I've liked what they've been doing there, so appreciate that. As we move along, Doug Gim and Chance Reavy, I brought their names up a couple of times this week. Not this week. Well, actually, yes, this week and tonight. Ben, I think these two guys are in play for me firmly here. And I think they're the same guy. They're the same stature. They're the same game. I mean, I know they look a little bit different, but they have a lot of similarities. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah. And I mean, I think this is a range kind of as we hit that 7K ceiling and we look to the 6s, guys like Gim, they are in play. We're going to need someone, especially if you want to get up and you don't want to start with Xander. Say you want to start with JT. Say you want 2 north of 10. These are the type of plays that I think you got to get to, and I am getting to. Another young, talented guy in Gim, so he's in the pool for sure.
Absolutely. Cam Champ, we talked about him. Let's talk about him in the make the cut segment. Is the cut streak that he's missed ends this week? I think it does. I think he's going to be in featured groups, and I think that helps him.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to flip the putter, but I think he's going to like this course better. I'm playing him a lot, so he better make the weekend.
Yeah, me too.
Get in there, guy.
All right, let's head into our deep dives. But before we do, just want to let everybody know, of course, about our Awesemo Podcast Network. If you're not able to watch your favorite Awesemo shows on YouTube, like this one here, almost all of our Awesemo YouTube shows are available through our Awesemo Podcast Network. We've got a podcast for every sport, and we're available on every major platform. So head on over to awesemo.com/podcast to check out the latest. Just leave a 5-star review, too, on one of our podcasts for a chance to win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Good luck. Okay, so our deep dives. First guy I'm going to talk about is a guy I'm just going to keep on playing until he makes the cut, because when he does, he's going to pay me off. This is the week I think he makes the cut, though. Former U.S. amateur champion here at Riviera, 6,600, Doc Redman. The only reason why he's missed the cut the last couple is his putter, Ben. So it flips this week on a course where he's got great memories. He is my deep dive number one. A couple of other guys I got written down here. Peter Malnati, Stuart Sink. But before you comment on them, talk to me about Sung Kang and two of his best ever finishes in his career coming right here at Riviera. What's up with that, and do we play him because of it?
Good old Sun Kang, $6,500 Sun Kang. I'm not going to get there. He's lost off the tee in all events in 2021. Little concerned. He can turn it on seemingly at random, but I think you're really banking on course history and nothing else. To me, there's just no reason to do that. I'll throw my support strongly behind Doc Redman. It's the same story. Talented guy, bad putter, can flip it. There's no reason to jump off because of cold putting. If it continues, you're going to probably be in a trouble this week, as will I, but I'm willing to take that risk. Scott Piercy is down there. I did take a close look at him. He was pretty important for me last week. 50th. Nothing was great, though. Pretty bland strokes gained across the board. Is there anybody else? I wanted to ask you about Adam Long is down here. Jim Furyk is down here. There are names not running to the window to play, but I do think you could make a case.
So I'll speak to Furyk first because I think that's easy. In terms of upside, we saw T21 last week out at Pebble Beach. I honestly think that is the actual upside that we get out of Jim Furyk. A top 20, top 21, mid. He didn't help you win a GPP last week, or a massive one, I should say. He would have helped you win like the 200 if you had Berger and Cantlay with him. This week, though, Ben, I mean, do I think he slides to the cut? Maybe. I don't think he's going to help you. I mean, you look at the breadth of his stats. You go to like a strong field. I mean, he doesn't even have anything really on his game log against a strong field. So I don't think it's a great spot for Jim Furyk. I'd rather play Adam Long. In fact, I'd even rather go up to a guy who I mentioned to you last week I thought was an absolute fade because of day two conditions. He's shown me now 4 tournaments in a row where they have wind. Harold Varner cannot make the weekend. He shot, I think, 5 under at Pebble or 4 under at Pebble, then ended up missing the cut because he played Spyglass in the tough conditions and missed the cut. I think it's a better course for him, 6,700. I'd rather play him this week than Jim Furyk.
Oh, I totally agree with that. Varner is similar. It's not as, extreme as Doc Redman, but tee to green, he's been playing better than the results. Obviously, at Waste Management, he did get the result, but it hasn't been a disaster. The putter lost in all 3 events in 2021. I would rather go to him than several other players there. I have to give a quick shout out to Charles. He is in just a few. He's gained off the tee in all 3 events in 2021. That's good enough for me, for a guy with a great short game. Other than that, though, I mean, did you dip like really low? Did you go to like any extreme punts, or did you find yourself more living in the mid 6s?
I found myself living in the more mid 6s. A guy that kind of popped up last week who had super good course history that I want to get your opinion on, who was coming up in this range anyway. Vaughn Taylor, our chat guy Revokes, has asked us a couple times about him and saw it. I think it's a good spot to bring him up. Again, last week would have been my play on him. A good course history, a good course fit as well beyond the course history. This week for me, I would rather play Adam Long at the same price. I'd even rather play Sung Kang, Doc Redman. It's just going to be hard for me to get to Vaughn Taylor, given the fact that he's 6,700. He's more expensive than those guys. And even Redman, he's $100 more than Redman. And I just would never play Vaughn Taylor over Redman at this course.
Me neither. And it's funny because I think this is a horrible course for him. The results would say otherwise. He seems to love this course. I just don't. I don't get it. And I don't think the game is in any shape. So course history is important, but it's not the end all be all. And course fit is more important. And I don't think this course fits him despite what his results have said. Appreciate the super chat. Richie Warinsky. What has he been doing?
Which one of us can guarantee him a top 20? I'm going to say neither of us can, as much as we like and appreciate the super chat.
I used to be able to do those things, but I got to stretch out if I'm going to conjure it that much. That's a big ask for Richie Orinsky.
Now, I will say, just touching back on Von Taylor for a second, he's in my player pool because we have seen him play the weekend a decent amount. So, Revokes, if you do want to play him, he's not a core play. He won't even be close to a core play, but he's in one of those secondary to tertiary kind of groupings for me this week. I would rather play. Okay, so Stuart Sink missed the cut in terrible fashion last week. I mean, really just didn't look that good at all. I think I would rather play him, though. I think this course might set up a little bit better than Pebble for him. But I'd probably even rather play Mark Hubbard, who, for the second straight week last week, got himself into really good position and then tanked. Shot 74 on Sunday. But on Saturday, he got into the top 6. He was -8 through like 13 holes at one point, and then you should look at his last 5 holes, Ben. It was unbelievable. So at 6,300, I will click his name once or twice.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Hubbard is he gives you permutations that you really can't get. He's 6,300. That's a different price point. The only other guys down there, yeah, you've got Sink. I'd rather play Hubbard. You've got Merritt. I'd rather play Hubbard.
Yep.
You've got Higgs.
Robbie Shelton.
I would rather probably play Hubbard. Robbie Shelton is an anomaly, though. He's a great scorer. There's a big step up, though. I don't know if I'm going to go there in a situation like this.
Okay, I've talked a couple of times about this guy, John Augenstein, and I know you know who he is now because he played in the Masters, maybe the only reason. But he has not done anything since, Ben. I know he's got all the talent in the world, or we think he does. Would you rather play him, or maybe this is a creative player for you, Agnes Flanagan here?
Yeah, no, I won't be doing either of those things at all.
Okay.
I believe Agnes Flanagan is from Minnesota. That's all I know about him.
Goes to Minnesota, yep. From
Goes
England,
to Minnesota. Yeah. We'll see what their basketball team does. Can't win on the road. That's all I got for you. Don't play those guys. I would much rather take an established pro.
So, look, Flanagan could be a good player eventually, but
for sure,
he's ranked 37th in the world as an amateur. We aren't talking about a pro. Not a pro, an amateur, as I try my Allen Iverson impression.
Yeah, I see what you did there. Okay.
So no, I'm not, as much as I like a fresh new toy, I'm out on Agnes Flanagan. I would rather play Augenstein. I'm not playing either, though. So, all right, let's move on. I think we've done enough deep dives. Chat, if I've missed any, go ahead and throw them out at us. We will be glad to answer them, but we're going to move on to our next section, our one and done. Then we're going to each give our bet of the week. So, Ben, for me this week, it's all now in a event like this, you have to start thinking about, in my opinion, for the one and done, you have to start thinking about who you want to pick for the majors, right? Because this is an event that if you're not going to pick, say, a Jon Rahm or say a Justin Thomas for a major this year, this could be a great spot for him. I think Justin Thomas, for me, is probably my number 1 pick, or number 2 pick, I should say. And the guy I have clicked right now, I don't think he's going to win a major this year because I think he got his one last year. And it's Colin Morikawa. I think that he's going to be really low owned in the one and done. I've piled up a bunch of top 5s, but I'm still not even cashing. So I feel like I need to go against the grain, try and get a low owned winner. I think Morikawa gives me the best chance at it this week.
I totally get that reasoning. You can pick up this 1.6 million to the winner. This is serious cash.
Some good chatter.
I do think it's early in the year, but you do want to look at where your team is at. I've been pretty fortunate. Nothing major good, but I had Siwoo and I had a couple other solid finishes, but I've used some big name players. I'm going to stick to my formula, and I think this is actually going to be, I know this sounds crazy, I think it's going to be contrarian. I'm going to use Dustin. He's at the height of his powers. He's won 3 of his last 8 events worldwide. Obviously, would I like to have him at a major? Yes. But I think there's enough depth in the tour these days where I'll find 4 incredibly good players at the majors. And if I get Dustin Johnson here and he crushes a field, I will take my $1.6 million and be more than content with going with DJ. If I didn't use DJ, I think I would look to Hovland, maybe Adam Scott, that type of range, similar to what you're talking about with Morikawa, that next tier of player.
Interesting. I think going to DJ there, pretty good call. So
you can't go wrong with him. It's just, do you want to burn him? That's obviously concerning.
So somebody asked me two questions in chat. One, Henrik Norlander, I'm out. I think we saw a good carryover. Then the regressions hit in, so I'm not going to try and chase that. Then I had a question about Joaquin Neiman versus Victor Hovland's ownership on FanDuel. Given Neiman's much cheaper price, $600 cheaper, he's over by about 7% right now. And of course, we only don't provide it for DraftKings ownership projections. We provide it for FanDuel as well. And FanDuel, it looks like it gave us another one of those, why is he at min prices this week with Brendan Steele? So that's an interesting one there. Wanted to bring that up. So, okay, let's go on to our bet of the week, Ben, which is a new little segment for us here. But listen, with sports betting becoming so legal pretty much everywhere, not everywhere yet, not in the state of Florida quite yet, but it's coming. It's coming everywhere. We're going to bring this in a little bit more. We're going to try and find you some value. So, Ben, I'll let you go first here before we give our hot takes and get on out of here for the late show NBA guys.
Yeah. So, certainly you're going to see more. Jason does a ton of really good videos. Me and Josh have a video, article, everything you need on the betting side. It's going to continue to grow. Check out oddshopper.awesemo.com. Shop those prices, especially with outrights. I can't tell you the number of people that are like, oh, I got this guy at 40-1. I go to OddShopper and he's 70-1 somewhere. That makes a huge difference. I'm just going to go to a, first time this has been a segment. I'm not going to do anything crazy here. I'm just going to go to a matchup that caught my eye, and it's probably my favorite play on the board. It's Max Homa, and he's going up against Will Z. He is minus 105. He's actually a slight dog, even though he's still minus. They're both minus. I'm going to Max Homa here. I think he should be favored in this matchup, playing consistent golf. And listen, Will Z's a talented guy, but I still think we're going to see some ebbs and flows there. Homa is gaining across the board. Simple as this. Obviously, when you're talking about a matchup, I think he beats Will Z this week, and I'm willing to lay the minus 105.
Okay, so I have two.
Okay.
Two matchups as well. And of course, matchups are something that I try and keep an eye on. I think there's certainly some edges to be had there. Check out my matchup betting article. I put it out before the tournament starts in the morning. So Thursday mornings, Friday mornings, I try and do at least one a week. So check that out. So these two will be on there. You can parlay them if you want, but you're going to have to wait all 4 days or, well, at least 2 days to get this paid out. So you don't have to parlay them. But the first one is the exact first matchup of the day going out, Ben. I think we saw Joel Damon's form break on Friday at the Waste Management, where he shot 6 under to get to 2 under, missed on the number. Sorry to say that word a couple of times in a row there, but missed on the number. And then he bounced back nicely, made the cut last week. Now he comes to a course that he's got good history at, plus 138 against Cam Tringale tomorrow. If we can avoid the eagle start from Tringale, I think Damon's got a really good chance. So plus 140 there, good value. And then, listen, I don't think Matt Fitzpatrick is a good player right now. And I think Jordan Spieth is playing the best he has in 2.5 years. So minus 118 to get Spieth over Fitzpatrick for the week. I'll take it. I think Spieth gets his third straight top 10 here this week, which is half of my hot take here this week as we roll right in. I gave you my first half. Jordan Spieth, third straight top 10. I think it's another pretty good golf course. He's going to miss fairways. So is everybody else this week. So I think we're good there. Plus, we saw it a little bit better. I think we end our 3-week run here. If we do get into the top 5 from Jordan Spieth, he will qualify for next week's WGC concession. So I think there's certainly some element to that. He wants to get back in the top 15 in the world. So motivation there. And then the second one, hot take for me, Colin Morikawa, 4% owned, top 5 here this week. We haven't seen him get in the top 5 in a little while. His game is too good not to be there. So Colin Morikawa, top 5, Jordan Spieth, top 10. It's a brand week for me this week.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. I just want to point, it's amazing. I'm scrolling through matchups. They have Ricky lined against Maverick at minus 110. It just shows where Ricky's at right now. What a struggle. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Before I give my hot take, 2 things. One, we have been on fire with these hot takes. I know I just jinxed us. We've really been close, and we're going to try to keep that going. 2, chat, as always, you guys, just so much fun. Love doing the show. One of my favorite, if not my favorite, of the entire week. If you hit that like button, let's push us over 100. We got a lot of people in here. It helps out the show, keeps it free. And if you have any questions, of course, hit up Jason on Twitter, DFS Golfer 23, myself, Jazz Raz DFS. It's on the screen. You guys should know that. All right. I don't really have anything interesting to say, honestly. I'm going to stick with what I've been saying. I just talked about this in my matchup. I'm going to do a two-part. You've been doing this. I'm going to say that Max Homa, and I'm going to pull up his odds right here. I'll give him a top 5. He came in 7th last week. He's been really close time and time again, and I don't mind going outright, but you know what? You can get some good odds on some of these guys for top 5 finishes. So looking at that 11-1 out there for a top 5. I'm also going to throw in, if you want to take a risk, and this is a major risk, I do think that Charles quietly could be okay here. You're talking about upwards 18-1 for a top 10. That's major potential payoff. He's down there with guys like Michael Thompson, Bo Hogue, Lucas Glover. I think that
how is Bo Hogue in this field?
I don't know what goes on anymore. I will take a flyer on Charles to get in the mix. Max Homa and Charles, they make some noise and find themselves on the first page of the leaderboard.
Okay, I got one more. Sorry. I forgot.
More hot takes from the clouds.
Just one more. I forgot this one. Doc Redman, top 15 here this week. He finally gets to the cut. It's the course for him. I had that one written down first, and I just went to my other guys, but it's really Doc Redman this week.
You know, it's funny you say that because when I was talking about Charles, on my screen, Doc Redman is 20-1 for a top 10. Ooh. That's worth a play. That's going to be added to my betting card right after this show.
Gotta love that. Well, Ben, tell us, we got WCC concession next week. I think it's the work day now, but some good golf nonetheless.
Big things, yeah. Listen, we wrap up the West Coast swing, but now we go to Florida. I love that. I love the change. I think people tend to look at recent form too much. That's something that we can exploit and something we're going to do on the show. I'm excited to get into it. On that note, we're going to bounce on out of here, but don't go anywhere. Greg Ehrenberg, Chris Spags, my partners in crime on the NBA show, coming up next. Good luck, anyone. Let's take it down. Have a strong finish to the West Coast swing. We'll see you guys next week.